Hi, I'm Scott,
And I'm Luke.
and we're Android Guys,
Give us 5 to 10 minutes of your day
and we'll tell you about a product or service.
or an app that you might be interested in.
Coming up, a battery-powered stick vacuum cleaner.
Hey, Scott, what do you got today?
Hey, Luke. I will be sharing my impressions or thoughts on the Vactidy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's called the Blitz V8. This is a vacuum cleaner. It's a
Okay.
stick-style upright vacuum
Okay.
with some attachments.
But it's wireless.
It is a wireless, yep. So it's got a built-in battery, and it's got some different attachments for different job needs. And it's got some pretty decent features,
Yeah.
especially on paper. But I'll take a break here, and I'll tell you a little bit about how it fares in practice.
Sounds good. So you're talking to us about the Vactidy V8 Blitz vacuum.
Yes.
This is a wireless vacuum
Mm-hmm.
that's a kind of a stick-style upright vacuum.
Yep.
What do you think of this thing?
So here's the deal. Let me preface this. We have a really nice vacuum cleaner at home.
Sure.
However, we only use it maybe once every couple of weeks
Yeah.
because we run a robot vacuum
Right.
every day.
Yeah.
And
Or it runs itself.
this is true.
Yeah.
It goes around and it cleans up and mops and vacuums and does an amazing job.
Yeah.
But once in a while, we'll get out the vacuum so we can also do the steps.
Sure.
We can also catch rugs in certain rooms that we don't normally vacuum.
Yeah.
And then we also like just that extra security of a really nice vacuum.
Sure.
That's not to say we should. The robot vacuum, doesn't have its usage.
Absolutely.
That's kind of what I see this as.
Okay.
This is not your main vacuum.
Uh-huh.
This is more of a convenience vacuum,
Sure.
at least in our experience with it. And
Okay.
some of this comes from feedback from my wife, who she uses it more at home.
Mhm.
I tried it a little bit here at the office.
Yeah.
It's more of a office environment, low pile carpet,
Yeah.
not going to have too many messes. Maybe you don't have too many
Yeah. Quick cleanup kind of
quick
stuff.
cleanup. You've got some crumbs because you got lunch
Mhm.
and maybe chips or pieces from a sandwich fell or whatever.
Sure.
Clean that stuff up and just kind of give it a nice clean. If you've got children or pets, things like that, it might be a little bit too much to ask of it.
Sure. It's not super heavy duty.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nice for if you want to clean your blinds, if
Yeah.
you want to get the ceiling fan. One of the things that I do like about it is it has an extendable kind of like a tube, like for the main stick.
Uh-huh.
So it can be adjusted for different lengths. It's not that all or nothing kind of stick,
Sure.
which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
And then put the attachment on it for maybe getting into the crevices along your steps,
Sure.
or down in the couch cushions, things
Sure.
like that. It's good
Yeah.
and does those things. This thing runs about 140.
Okay.
To me, that's a little bit of high ask for this thing,
Okay.
considering the suction power, and just the general overall experience with it.
Uh-huh.
I had seen it on sale a time or two under $100,
Okay.
and I felt much more confident at that price.
Yeah.
Here, it's just a little bit maybe little too ambitious to ask for $140.
Right.
But that's not to say it's not a good quality built design.
Mm-hmm.
It's got the LED lights on it. So if you put the little vacuum, like the agitator,
Yeah.
to get under, if you're doing like a hard floor,
Sure.
again, like a low pile, excuse me, it weighs, less than 6 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's easy to hold, easy to carry. Excuse me, my wife, one of her main complaints with another brand of stick vacuum was, even though it was so-called light, it put kind of like a strain on the wrist to kind of hold because of the way the weight was distributed. Here, she said this, it's not really an issue.
Okay.
And turning it on, squeezing it, the handle, all that, was comfortable for longer periods. But she just kind of said, well, I just feel like it's, I would use this on a daily basis to kind of go around in the fall or spring when high traffic, dogs coming in and out, maybe bringing in some tiny rocks or salt from the outside.
Sure.
This would be a good run this, clean up the kitchen or the hallway, but we still want to run the vacuum properly later.
Right.
Battery life on this thing is just okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak to how it works competitive wise. I don't know too much in terms of what you might get for this price from competitors. This will give you up to 35 minutes, but that's on the eco mode.
Okay.
Or like the low mode.
Yeah.
Whereas if you put it on high, which is kind of where you, to me, really want that.
Yeah.
That's going to cut that probably to a half or a third of that time.
Sure.
So, again, depending on what you're doing, if you're just going around doing like a spring cleaning, you might want to do something else. But if you're going around on your regular Saturday afternoon, kind of like, let me go around and get all the dust bunnies before they accumulate. Let me get the spider webs, the cobwebs, things that are, trouble areas.
Yeah.
Where dust tends to settle.
Corners where the RoboVac doesn't get, stuff like that. Sure.
Yeah. So it works just fine for that. But again, at $150 or $140, it's kind of a lot to ask on top of something else you might already own.
Right.
So but I feel like it's a good brand.
Yeah.
I don't look at it like, oh, this is a knockoff or a cheap company.
No.
This is my first kind of experience with them. The filter seems to work really well.
Yeah.
I was able to kind of, when you run it, the air smells very clean outside of it, and it seems to pick up everything that kind of goes through it, and it's washable.
Yeah.
So it's got that little strainer, and it's got the HEPA filter.
Mm-hmm.
To charge it up takes about 2.5 hours.
Okay.
So depending on like what you set out to do cleaning wise,
you
might find yourself going through that battery quickly,
and
then waiting a while to get more charge. So
right, but then again, this is from what we're talking about, it seems like more of a just spot cleaning, kind of light duty stuff would be the wheelhouse for this. Yep,
I would have no problem with this. Recommending it in an office environment.
Yeah,
it's quiet.
Yeah,
if I can't imagine anybody in this suite or this wing, we would hear that if they were running it.
Sure.
And at home, it's not something where you have to kind of like yell to talk to somebody over.
That's nice.
It's pretty quiet. So I think there's definitely a place for it.
Yeah.
But for myself, it's an
extra vacuum. It's not not a main vacuum.
And I think that's what it is for me. So that's really the Vactidy Blitz V8 in a nutshell.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott.
You're welcome. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of the podcast.
Thanks for listening.
We appreciate it. If you guys have any questions, feedback, concerns, comments, anything, shoot us an email at podcast@AndroidGuys.com. We'd love to hear from you one way or the other. Luke, if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they do that?
I am on Instagram and Twitter at Luke Gaul, Gaul.
And I'm on Instagram at Scott Webster and Twitter as SWebster77. Until next time, thanks for listening.
See ya.